announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Listen up, you blind slapnut.
If I can be serious for a minute.
This is the Wrestling Weekend Review Show for life and the Flex Network.
The real reason I came here tonight is because we are live! We are NXT! It's your time, folks!
Here's your host, the SnowMan.
Because these announcements have been paid for by the New World Order.
For life.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all the ages, we have arrived. It is the end of a hellacious, crazy, sad. There's no other word to describe this year of 2020, but we have finally arrived to the end of 2020. It is December 31st. And I literally cannot be waiting until we're all enjoying this moment of hearing the countdown begin to the end.
10, 9, 8, 8, 8.
Oh, will this horrible year never end?
We've never lost a year before, and I'll be damned if we're going to lose one on my shift.
I can't wait. The end is so much here. But you know what? Before we end this horrific year, let's talk some wrestling, guys and girls. Let's talk about what went down in this year of the 20. Man, a lot of stuff went down. I mean, we're going to recap what went on over the week before we end this year and move on to new business. We'll go back and look at some good moments in the wrestling world. Talk about, some stuff that went on this year and look back at just the year in general, this 2020 that everybody wishes and hopes it would be over soon, but it's almost there, guys. But before we get too far into it, we got to do this the last time before we head on into 2021, because we are live. Yes, we're live on Facebook. We're live on Twitter. We are live on the YouTube. Let's get into it, guys. Let's just get straight into it. No real news reports to end this year. Nothing that I need to share with you guys. I will start share. This is a news report break. I mean, a lot of the stuff can wait. I mean, besides what happened over the weekend, of course, everyone should know that what happened over the weekend. We lost Brody Lee in stunning and surprising fashion. Oh, wow, it was a surprise. We lose him at the age of 41, not COVID related, just a sheer surprise to everyone that, he passed away. And wow, it was just, the biggest surprise. Like if 2020 was a boxer, it sure delivered a sheer KO to a lot of people this year. Some low blows and some cheap shots, and dang, this was the last punch for 2020, and it sucked. But yeah, Dynamite. We'll talk about what went down last night on Dynamite in a short little bit. Because they did a tribute show to Mr. Brody Lee, Luke Harper, and it was beautiful. It was a great show. We'll get into that in a short little bit. But yeah, no real news this week other than that. But before we get to the, what went down in the recaps of the shows, we'll save that for near the end. Let's really talk. If you guys, comment below. And yeah, well, comment below. It's like, hey guys, Jake Anderson, yeah, watching you from the house. Happy New Year, Snowman. Thanks, Jake. But yeah, if you guys want to drop in you favorite matches, favorite moments of this year in the wrestling world from AEW, WWE, NXT, New Japan, drop them in the comments, guys. We'll talk about them on the Shizzo before we head out and close the book on this sucky year of 2020. But yeah, a lot of things happened over in this year. If you guys remember, we were starting the year off great. Way back, in the month of January, we had 3 events going on in the span of 1 month, at least for WWE. We had Takeover, Blackpool 2, Worlds Collide, and we had the Royal Rumble. And, we had Edge return at the Royal Rumble. We had an awesome Worlds Collide main event with Undisputed Era taking on Imperium in an 8-man tag match. That was great. That was a fun, crazy matchup right there to see. UK NXT taking on US NXT, and the return of DIY. Oh, it was just DIY, do it yourself. But it was such a great time, to kick off the new year. You had those 3 events right there. It was awesome to see. New Japan, of course, 4th and 5th. Wrestle Kingdom 14. Man, it just seems so long ago. We had a lot of people in the stands. Okada and Ibushi on the main event for night 1 to decide who was going to be going into Double Dash the next day. We had the Intercontinental Championship match with Naito winning the Intercontinental title. We had Okada and Ibushi for the heavyweight title. And then the next night on January 5th was Wrestle Kingdom Night 2. And we had the double championship matchup with Naito and Okada, and they tore the house down. Man, it was so awesome that first month for 2020, where we had great wrestling, great feel, and the year looked great and bright, guys. I can't emphasize that enough. I mean, you look back, coming to the end of this year, and you're like, man, it just seems so far and so long ago that we had crowds and stands. We were going to events. We were having beers with our buddies. We were going out to eat, and in the span of 2 months, probably middle of March, we go straight down the tube. I mean, and even when we got to February, Takeover Portland, I mean, I can't emphasize that was an awesome event. You've seen the posts over go back in our Twitter, and we saw, and it was so fun to go to Takeover Portland. Ciampa, Adam Cole for the NXT title, Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox in the street fight. We had Poppy singing both themes for the event. It was freaking awesome, guys. I loved going to that event. It was awesome. Gotta stay hydrated on this because afterwards gonna have a little bit of the bubbly. AEW, of course. Revolution at the end of February. Their first big pay-per-view of 2020. It was, essentially their last big pay-per-view with fans in the stands. We had Jericho and Moxley for the AEW World Title. That was a crazy ass match right there. Mox picking up the victory, gaining the championship, beating Le Champion. Guys, it was just so much fun stuff before we got to March, middle of March. I mean, granted, we had the Elimination Chamber with the women headlining the chamber match with Natalya, Liv, Asuka, Shayna, Ruby, Sarah, Logan inside the Elimination Chamber. Number one contenders match for the women's Raw Women's title. Man, it just seems so long ago, guys, that we had fans in the stands. It was awesome. But looking back now, even more so with what happened with WrestleMania and them doing the 2-night event from instead of being at James Raymond Stadium, where Super Bowl is going to be at this year, this upcoming, yes, so I can't say this year because we're almost over, but the Super Bowl that's coming up in 2021, and to go to the Performance Center, have a 2-night event, and just be so quiet. I mean, to a point, so quiet. And we got to see the Boneyard match with AJ and Undertaker. We got to see Universal Championship matchup. We got to see Raw Women's Champ Becky Lynch defend against Shayna Baszler. And knowing that the Undertaker's, against AJ Styles, this was going to be the last. I mean, now looking back, that was the final match of the Undertaker's career in a cinema style match, and it was freaking awesome. And then to go into night 2 with Brock versus Drew for the WWE title headlining, and we had the and what was it? I think it was night, if I remember correctly. Night 1 was the other cinema match with the Firefly Funhouse match with Cena and Bray. That was awesome. I mean, literally, I don't know how well, looking back, how WrestleMania could have been different had it been, we didn't have the COVID, if it still was going on, even if it was a shortened amount of people in the arena, in the stands, like, people were, okay, we're not really sure. We're not going to come, but we're not. I mean, we're going to come, but we're not sure. If it had been like within a week later that everything was starting to shut down, we got to April and it was starting to show, things were starting to pick up there with the pandemic. I don't know how much different. I think a lot of the stuff would have been completely different with WrestleMania, to say the least, with no Boneyard match, no Firefly Funhouse match. And I really do believe that I think we would have gotten a lesser value in the AJ Styles and Undertaker match just because of, you're asking these guys to go. I mean, yeah, if you guys remember seeing Undertaker's the doc on the WWE Network, The Last Ride, he was prepared to go, normal matchup feel, and he was training for that. But then all of a sudden the pandemic hit, is in full-fledged, and Mania gets changed, and it's now, okay, we're going to a Boneyard match, and we're going to have it cinema style where we're going to record, stop, go, stop, go, stop, and go. And I don't really think that if we didn't have the Boneyard match, that AJ Undertaker match probably would have been as great as it is, and as it happened. With, I think that a regular match with AJ Styles and Undertaker at this point, or had it not been a Boneyard match, cinema style match, I think it would have been a lot fallen down in the Oh, it was a great match, tier. Oh, it was an okay match. I think the Simo style and how they did it elevated that match feel and what we consider a great match for 2020. That one up the bar, and that literally was like, wow, it was so good. It was an awesome match. You got to see. I mean, we got to see Undertaker come back as American Badass, and with the bike. And while we didn't get him coming out to either American Badass or Limp Bizkit's Rollin', him coming out with Metallica, that one, okay, that one worked. It worked very well with him. But yeah, the WrestleMania, I feel like would have been a very different feel. 100% around, granted, it would have been a one-night event where, and I'm going to even emphasize this even more. Had WrestleMania been a one-night event in Florida, at Tampa Bay, nothing went out of hitch. We would have had TakeOver, instead of having it broken down into a part episode on TV. We would have had TakeOver on that Saturday. Then the Sunday, we would have had all the matches, probably early in the afternoon, for us here on the West Coast, and a lot of matches that got more time, that looked a lot, that went a lot longer than normal, would have been severely cut. Like the Becky Lynch match, the NXT title match would have been cut short. And just in general, I think that it saved a lot of the women's ability, a lot of the matches that were, awesome for that card. And I think that the pandemic kind of helped a little bit, while it didn't help, it hurt everyone, in general, but it helped with the card itself because it allowed more people to get, more people to get on, more people to have more time to tell their story and do some stuff than what they would have done if it was a regular WrestleMania in about 4 hours, maybe, if it was a one-day event instead of the 2-night special that they did April 4th and 5th that they had recorded back in March. So again, and the same thing goes with the with Money in the Bank when we got to May, with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match and the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. With those two matches at Titan Towers, I think that actually the pandemic allowed more freedom, to say the least. Think about it. No pandemic. Let's just take out the pandemic for a minute. And Money in the Bank was at, where it was supposed to be. Match wise, I think it would have been just another great, Money in the Bank ladder match with Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, Alistair, Otis, AJ, and Corbin for the men. And for the women, Lacey, Carmella, Dana, Asuka, Nia, and Shayna. And what would have been eventually for the Raw Women's title, because of what happened with Becky getting pregnant, I think the matches would have, decreased in value. But because of it being a video, a cinema style match, it elevated it. It gave these girls and men something to do. They were to go outside the box and be like, okay, we're at Titan Towers. What can we do? Okay, we can go to the gym. We can go to the front desk. We can go to catering. We can go all these different places. Carmella can act like she actually won the Money in the Bank ladder match because there's a Money in the Bank briefcase and it's in a conference room, and she thinks she wins, and Steph comes in and says, no, you didn't win. It's on the roof. This is the Money in the Bank conference room. The briefcase, the one you're going after, is on the roof. Ooh. We got to even see Vince, with Daniel and AJ fighting into Vince's office, and they're like, oh crap, we're in the wrong side of the building. Sorry. Like, fix the table, fix the chairs. Like, sorry. It's like, I think that match, those two, both matches combined into one cinema style match was freaking awesome. It made that match must see for, at least for the month. May 10th, I would say that was a very well pointed out and very well told story for Money in the Bank this year. It was awesome. Looks like Aunt Snow is checking in. Happy New Year. Yeah, unfortunately, we're not 1,000 year, we're not into 3,000 yet, Aunt. It's 2021. Yeah, Happy New Year. But yeah, even and I'll even go to AEW for a quick bit. Double or Nothing. Matt Hardy and the Elite taking on the Inner Circle in the Stadium Stampede match. That was crazy on its own. Matt getting drowned in the pool up in the at the stadium where Jacksonville's playing. He gets reincarnated a couple times from Matt Hardy V1 and it was fun. And even to see what was going on with Sammy and Matt Hardy and him driving, the go-kart or that cart again, the ATV cart. Oh my God. Literally, it was the funniest fun part of Double or Nothing and everything that went into it. And the stories with that. And then everything, again, that whole car, matchup was fun to watch. At Double or Nothing, that Stadium Stampede match, going all over the stadium. Hangman and Omega drinking at the bar, a beer, or scotch, or I want to say it was whiskey and milk during the match. And then Sammy getting killed by what I think it was Omega with the one-winged angel off the 200 level balcony through all the way down to the ground. That was freaking insane. I think story-wise and what everyone was able to do for 2020, I think helped a lot of wrestlers this year. And I dare you guys to go back, watch the cinema style matches. If it was the Boneyard, the Money in the Bank, if it was the Wyatt Swamp fight at Extreme Rule or the Horror Show at Extreme Rules, the Stadium Stampede match. There was some great matches that were, not wrestling, but it was a story and it got you guys hooked in. Now on the wrestling side, take over, even for NXT, take over in your house. The triple threat women's title match with Charlotte, Rhea, and Iro. That was awesome. Takeover 30. Keith Lee, Karrion Kross, NXT title. It sucked for Karrion, who got injured. He won the match, but he lost the title due to injury. I had to surrender it. And even before we got to Takeover 30, the Great American Bash, where we had for 2 weeks, we had, I want to say it was in a 2-week series. We had the triple threat for the North American title. Gargano, Adam Cole, Keith Lee. Winner faces Finn, it's Finn instead of Adam Cole. Johnny, Finn, Keith. NXT North American title. Winner faces Adam Cole for the title. And it was awesome. A Great American Bash. Those two matches were great. Just fast paced and great action right there, guys. Literally something you want to go rewatch again and again. And even that Great American Bash, it was awesome, top to bottom. And then once we got to SummerSlam and we're getting into August, things were starting to settle back down. We weren't having as much cinema matches. We were getting into that feel of, okay, we're wrestling in front of a virtual crowd now. We're having the Thunderdome, and we're having the LEDs being transformed so people can actually sit at their computer with a camera and watch. So I think and feel like this was between let's say July, from SummerSlam, before SummerSlam all the way to the beginning of the pandemic, was the most interesting time for wrestling viewing. Afterwards, we were getting into this, the last half of the year, summer all the way through fall. And at least for WWE and NXT, it was getting back to normal business of, we're wrestling. We're not going to do cinema style matches. We're going to get back into a somewhat normalcy mode with, matches in the ring, story in the ring. And I think they got some stride in there with SummerSlam, bringing Braun taking on Fiend in a Falls Count Anywhere match for the Universal title. The Fiend beating Bray next month. Actually, not even, and actually, I can't even say within the next month. Like 7 days afterwards, we get a triple threat no holds barred match. Fiend, Roman, and Braun. That was the one thing I did not like about the summer, was you had two pay-per-views within 7 days of each other. It just degraded, and I think it hurt so much of what, at least for those 7 days, it hurt the product, because yes, we're going into SummerSlam, and then you announce 7 days later, or within 7 days, there's going to be another pay-per-view event. You couldn't wait until next month. You couldn't wait till Clash of Champions. You couldn't, I understand, you have, there's bills to pay, and you're trying to keep your viewers engaged and everything, but 7 days for a pay-per-view, that was just a dumb, stupid idea, and it takes away from an actual story building, because within 7 days you're supposed to turn around and give, within two shows, you're on Raw and SmackDown, you're supposed to get something out there quick for another pay-per-view within 7 days. That just was stupid. And then AEW, they're still trying to, figure out, okay, I mean, not really figure out, but trying to get into a pay-per-view groove, because their last pay-per-view, of course, was May 23rd. Then they go to All Out in September. They go back-to-back months with pay-per-views, September, November. And I really feel like Jon Moxley as champion for 2020 was a great year for them to put the belt on him. It worked for him, and it worked for the company. And of course, several weeks, like weeks ago, beginning of the month, they take the belt off Moxley and give it to Kenny, and he's going to probably do wonders for them coming up in 21. Yeah, just a lot of craziness, guys, in this year. And then, you know what? To end this whole rant with the year, with pay-per-views and everything. War games this year. I cannot stress enough to you guys, the war games this year was unbelievable. Craziness, unprecedented moments with the women and the men was awesome. I hope you guys go back and check out war games from the beginning of the month. It was freaking awesome. But yeah, that was essentially I want to say pay-per-view wise and how I feel with 2020 wrestling with the moments. If you guys got moments that you want to chime in, we'll talk about that. Drop in the comment what your favorite match was, what your favorite moment was in 2020, at least for wrestling. Drop it in there. If you're right now live on the Facebook, the Twitter, the YouTube, of course, for those who are going to listen later in the podcast, just let us know. Drop a comment at our Facebook page and our Twitter or our YouTube page. What was your favorite moment of 2020 in the wrestling world? Now I gotta be a homer for a second because this is the sad part of the 20s. We lost some people. And I think this is the time that we give that moment of, for those who are no longer with us. We lost quite a few people this year. And let me emphasize that I'm talking about the wrestling part. Yes, I'm acknowledging that while COVID-19 right now has been a definite killer and just so much chaos and freaking insanity of what's, with this stinking virus and everything. We did lose, I'm not, taking the limelight off those we lost and everything. We want, it's just a moment that we want to respect that everyone that we lost over the year. If it was non-COVID, COVID related, whatever. I mean, it was just a sucky ass year. Is that time to give that moment? You'll thank you for bottom of our hearts for all the memories. Whether you were here, we got to see you or even talk to you, whatnot. It's just that time to remember. But the wrestlers that we lost this year, we lost Bullet Barb Armstrong. He was 80 years old. We lost Danny Hodge. He was 88. Hannah Kimura. I want to say, I know I'm going to butcher that name wrong, but she was 22. She was a very young wrestler. Just tragic situation for her. Howard Finkel, we lost to Fink this year. He was age 69. We lost Kamala, the Ugandan giant, age 70. We lost Kevin Green, NFL Hall of Famer. He did some stuff in WCW. He was a wrestler for WCW for a little bit. He was age 58. We lost the Parka, the chairman. If you're not watching this show, I'm doing the little Parka, like the little Parka dance. The chairman, the luchador. We lost him. He was age 55. We lost the first ever Intercontinental Champion of the world and one of the Stooges, Pat Patterson. We lost Road Warrior Animal, age 60. We lost SnowMan, Rocky Johnson, the Rock's father, at age 75. We lost Shag Gaspar, one of the members of Crime Time, at age 39. We lost Zeus, a.k.a. Debo, Tommy Listener, age 62. And then, of course, recently, within the last several days, we lost Brody Lee, a.k.a. Luke Harper, a.k.a. John Huber. May everyone rest in peace. It sucks that we lost you guys this year in the worst years possible. So just rest in peace, you guys. And then, of course, rest in peace to everyone. We did lose in the year 2020 to the virus, and I hope everyone out there is safe with that. Safe, at home, safe at your job or whatnot. And, you guys are taking all your precautions, masking up, wash your hands, often as you can. Not as, like every single time you touch something, but just wash your hands, before you eat, wash your hands, in general, when you can. If you're sick, stay home. Literally, if you're, you got bad, if you're coughing, you don't feel well, stay home and rest up and everything. But yeah, just rest in peace, everyone we lost. I'm gonna do like a couple seconds of silence for you guys for that. All right. AJ checking in with his favorite, great moment for us. Edge versus Orton. That was the greatest feud that never was. Let's backtrack on that. I mean, I would say that was a great feud. It sucked what happened at Backlash with Edge tearing his pec muscle, and he's out. He was out the rest of the year. But I feel like between everything, from Rumble, from January all the way till June, I feel like they told a great story and they had a great rivalry. It was awesome. Now, I mean, granted, we didn't get a great big finish like that we were supposed to get, but maybe things will turn around better once we get into 21. But I mean, bar none, the match at Backlash was freaking awesome. The greatest. I mean, granted, it wasn't the greatest wrestling match ever, because there's been other great matches, but it's WWE. They're gonna hype it up as much as they can, billing it the greatest wrestling match ever. But yeah, it was just a lot of great matches that happened. Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton in the Hell in a Cell. That was awesome. Edge and Orton. That was a great one. I'll even go one better. I'll even go outside the company, outside of the big two right now in the US. I'll go to New Japan. Give me Naito versus Okada, night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom. I feel like that was a great match. A great match to go back and watch. As always, it's the non-hype matches that usually get our attention. Yeah, because I would say that, AJ, that it tends to go with how they build it, and of how everything that goes into the build with that particular match. Like, best one I can give you for an example actually would probably be Roman and Jay back in September, October-ish time, because you gotta think Roman's back, Jay's starting to get back, into singles, waiting for his brother to come back, and they're giving us this emotional story, and it played so well into Clash of Champions, where it was a one-on-one match, and we got to see a different Roman, a very different Roman, even to his own blood, and what they did to each other. And even when we got to Hell in a Cell and that I Quit match, it even elevated that more. So I would say that the Jey Uso Roman Reigns was probably one of the best, emotional stories of the year, besides Edge returning at Royal Rumble, because legitimately, I don't think, there are some people that are saying, oh, Edge is, we're hearing rumblings that Edge is going to be at the Royal Rumble. This is like, okay, yeah, he'll probably be there. His wife is, probably doing some commentary, and he's probably down there, oh yeah, I'm gonna see some friends, talk to some of the guys. No, I would probably guess maybe a handful of people really knew that Edge was gonna be there to be in the Rumble. Because think about this, Edge retires, many years ago. He retires because of the neck surgery. It was after WrestleMania 26 in Atlanta. He retires. He drops off. I mean, yeah, we get to see him now and again. He's doing acting. He's doing some movies, some TV shows. But then he gets that itch again. Like maybe let's see if I can maybe get to do something. We get to see him at 2019 SummerSlam. It's like, you know what? I feel good taking doing that spear to Elias. And then it's like, okay, I got that itch again. Like, you know what? Maybe I don't have a full year's worth of match, a normal year of wrestling like I used to do, but maybe I could come back, part-timer, someone that could come in, for good for some good story matches and maybe go out on my terms. And we get to see Edge surprisingly come back at Royal Rumble, and literally, AJ, you said with the best words, the roof blew off at Minute Maid Park. I mean, they're still repairing that a year later. The stadium is still being repaired from that roof just blowing up in that place. Literally, that roof was still being seen from Mars, being tracked all the way to Mars because the roof was blown up that big, with the amount of passion that everyone here, you think you know me, and boom, it's like, oh. And I really do think, and again, it's always been said, the Rumble is the best time for moments because you get to see unexpected people come back and wrestle in the Royal Rumble. I mean, we get to see legends. We get to see former wrestlers. I mean, heck, last year we saw MVP return. We saw Edge return. We've seen the Hurricane. We've seen Lita. We've seen Trish. We've seen Tori get into it. We've seen the Bellas get back into it. I mean, there have been a lot of moments. Heck, we've seen the Honky Tonk Man. I'm remembering from 2001. Literally just a lot of great moments for the Royal Rumble, and especially to kick off the road to WrestleMania and to finish out WWE's calendar year. Because you got to think, wrestling wise and for a calendar, the year does not start January, and goes from January to December. No. The calendar year goes from March/April all the way through to March/April. That's 1 year. That is a calendar year. So you gotta have literally a brains, your calendar's so crazed up and messed up that you're like, okay, oh, let's see, it's August, so we know it's SummerSlam. Oh yeah, we gotta go back to school. It's September. Oh, then that means it's a Clash of Champions. Trick or treat, it's time for candy and costumes. Oh, Hell in a Cell. Let's see, November, Thanksgiving, gotta get some turkey in us. Up, Survivor Series month. December, it's TLC time. January, we get up. We're on the road to WrestleMania now, guys. We're kicking off the new year. We got can't wait for the Rumble. February/March, okay. Maybe actually Elimination Chamber time. And then we get to April, March. It's like, time to end the calendar year. It is WrestleMania season. And then, we get to start all over again right there the next night with the Raw after WrestleMania. The new rivalries we're going to get, the new stories we're going to get for the year. Start at Raw, start at SmackDown. And then NXT, of course, I I really don't think that NXT even gets enough credit because over the year, their year is completely different because we don't necessarily know a year, a start and a stop place, because it seems like every couple months, once we get to a pay-per-view, or if it was a normal year, we get to a pay-per-view for them, and after 2 pay-per-views we'll be like, okay, new story, new this, new that, or something along that lines. And then probably about WrestleMania time is when people are going to get called up and new stuff gets story there. So NXT gets the pass because they kind of alternate on who's going to get called up and when we're going to do new storylines and get new stuff going, because they are in a constant new cycle every so often. There may, but this year, of course, with everything, with limitations on what they could do. I mean, heck, with War Games normally being a Survivor Series weekend, and, at least with last year, you had Survivor Series weekend with TakeOver and then Survivor Series, and then both NXT was on both shows. That was Survivor Series highlight for last year. So, and then of course, this year for New Japan, this was a trying year because again, they were supposed to be taking a short alternate break, or alternate timeline for this year, because if it had been a normal year, no COVID, think about it, no COVID, we would have had a Summer Games this year, guys. We would have had sorry about that. We would have had Summer Games, and with Japan hosting, or in that, Japan, we were going to get the Tokyo Games. Everything would have already been altered for New Japan Pro Wrestling once we got to summer, because with them hosting, everything going on there, they were going to decide, okay, the fall, the normal G1 tournament would have happened before before the summer because of the Summer Games, would have happened in the fall because of the Summer Games and everything with that. But with COVID and the cancellation of the Tokyo Games, and it was like, okay, a double 1-2 punch, like, okay, we got to get things back to something of a normalcy. New Japan still pulled out a great year for these guys. Maybe not as great as last year, but a lot of awesome moments. Of course, with Evil turning on Los Ingobernables de Japan, and joining a Bullet Club for life. Over the summer, I really do think, and betraying his tag team partner, Sanada. And actually holding on to the double championships right there. I think it was otherwise it was a good year for Bullet Club. Had some great moments, even won World Tag League this year. And it's still held on to the IWGP junior title, or junior heavyweight title. As Bonesaw has kept the title for a long time. And Switchblade's on the rise right now. Again, he's in the main event for the second year in a row. For an opportunity, actually not really the second year, but he's part of the double main event in some capacity, because last year he was in the Intercontinental title picture, and had an opportunity to become double champion. But yeah, again, it was just, I think New Japan had some great moments this year. G1 Cup was awesome. The Super Juniors tournament was awesome. The best of the Super Juniors was great. Even the Super J Cup was fun to watch, a little bit ago. That was awesome. So there were some great moments in wrestling this year. And yeah, just a whole lot of things that were just great. So that is going to be for the recap for the year. Let's get quickly into what went down this week. So you know the deal when you hear the woo 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 woo.
Woo!
It's time for the weekly spoilers. So spoiler alert. If you haven't been watching this year, this last week of the year, you missed some stuff. We're gonna do Raw, we're gonna do NXT, we're gonna do Dynamite, and then that should be it for the 2020. And just remember, once the ball drops, literally, these rules in effect.
The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
And that is a you do not talk about 2020. Second rule of 2021. You do not talk about 2020 again. And lo and behold, the second that comes up, we get the Money in the Bank briefcase. I'm going to get into that, AJ. I am going to get so into that right now. So it literally Raw this past week. I'll run down what went down. Number one contenders match for the WWE title for the first Raw of next year. As Drew McIntyre will defend the WWE title against the winner of the Sheamus and Keith Lee match. It was a great match to watch. Keith Lee picks up the victory. He is the number one contender for next Monday's WWE Championship matchup. The Miz taking on Grand Metalik. The Grand Metalik wins over the Miz. Dana Brooke and Shayna Baszler in one-on-one action. Baszler picks up the victory. The Hurt Business beating the New Day, Jeff Hardy, and actually no, sorry, I read the Hurt Business picks up the victory over the New Day, Riddle and Jeff Hardy in six-man tag action. Charlotte and Nia Jax going one-on-one. Charlotte wins via disqualification. AJ Styles. Wait a minute, I think I goofed up on something here. I think I goofed. I think my notes might be a little bit wrong on something. My notes are a little wrong. Yeah, thank you. You double check everything, but your notes may be wrong. But anyhow, Ricochet taking on Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali wins. Charlotte wins via disqualification against Nia Jax. And I think I may have been wrong on the New Day and that the six-man tag. No, I was right. Hurt Business wins, beating the New Day, Riddle, and Jeff Hardy. Now, what went down with the Money in the Bank contract? That I cannot explain. Adam Pearce handing back over the Money in the Bank contract to The Miz. Now, while The Miz unfortunately may be right, and I said, I think it was said that I said this last week. Or actually, no, I didn't say it last week because the rule has always, and I can't believe I'm actually agreeing with this, but the rule has been that the Money in the Bank contract holder has to, if he wants to cash in, he has to hand the briefcase over. While at TLC, unfortunately, the briefcase was in the possession of John Morrison, and while The Miz may have prematurely not cashed in the briefcase himself. I think it was kind of bogus. I think it was kind of bogus that Adam Page or Adam, the exec, the Raw exec right now, handed the briefcase back over to The Miz. Technically, he may be right, but I think that because The Miz was made an offensive move for the briefcase in the match at TLC, and the briefcase was handed over. It was announced that it was an active cash-in for The Miz, and it was made a triple threat match. And The Miz made an offensive move to go for the briefcase in a tables, ladders, and chairs ladder match with the title hanging above the ring. I do believe that the cash-in should have stood, and The Miz should be sulking and crying to this very day that he is no longer the Money in the Bank contract holder. And I don't know how he did it, but apparently he got the biggest help. And when that happened, I was literally just saying dough at the top that I could ever do. It's like, it was just so sad that they gave the Money in the Bank contract back to The Miz.
What the f?
I could not have said it any better myself, for the plain fact that he's now the Money in the Bank contract holder again. But now Miz has to be careful, and I really do think that this needs to be understood. Miz has to literally walk a tightrope now because he's been given a second chance at the Money in the Bank contract. And the referee and the announcer need to realize that if he wants to cash in that title opportunity again, it has to come from The Miz. Morrison cannot be in possession, and The Miz cannot tell, the referee that I'm cashing in. He has to physically hand the briefcase over. So if for some reason we come up next year and The Miz happens to cash in the Money in the Bank contract, we have a situation all over again where The Miz cashes in and, match happens and Miz wins the title, but he didn't hand the briefcase over. He did not, in possession, have the briefcase handed over and cash in. Morrison did it, and he wins the title. It could get turned around that, well, The Miz did not hand over the briefcase. It was John Morrison. So the title should be should be stricken from the record, and I should be the champion. So I think we might get that option this time around with this current cash in the next time if that happens. I think maybe Miz forgets that Morrison has the briefcase in his hand. Morrison cashes in for Miz. Miz wins the title sometime in the year, probably before WrestleMania. And we get Miz winning the championship, and then no more than a week later, oh, sorry, because Morrison had the briefcase and he cashed it in for you. You did not cash in yourself, Miz. You're no longer the champion. Title gets reversed back to him. So, but yeah, that was essentially Raw for the week and what happened. CG Corey checking in. Happy New Year, SnowMan. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to yourself. Be safe out there. Let's get into NXT quickly because we're going to talk about what is going to go down to kick off the new year. We had final NXT of 2020. We had Bronson Reed taking on Isaiah Swerve Scott. Isaiah falling short on the monster Bronson Reed. Grizzled Young Veterans taking on Breezango in tag team action. Actually, let me get the black and gold brand up. Grizzled Young Vets picking up the victory. Mercedes Martinez just squashing a jobber in her first match back at NXT. Pete Dunne taking on Roderick Strong. Pete picking up the victory for the Kings of NXT brand. In a tag team matchup, we had Lince Durango and Gran Metalik taking on Legado del Fantasma. Tag team action. Metalik and Donardo picking up the victory in tag team action. And then main event, we have the North American Championship up for grabs as Johnny Gargano taking on Leon Ruff. And Johnny Wrestling has broken the curse, ladies and gentlemen. He has successfully defended a world title and retained it. That was fun. We know next week, New Year's Evil, the first show of the new year for NXT will be New Year's Evil. We will have the NXT title on the line. O'Reilly and Finn 2. We'll have the Cruiserweight title on the line. Gran Metalik taking on Santos Escobar. Last women's standing match between the former friends of Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez. The Fight Pit is back. Ciampa and Thatcher are going at it in the Fight Pit. And in a one-on-one match, we got Cross taking on Priest. That should be a barn burner to start the new year. And then, of course, we know that the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic will be starting up January 13th. So the second week of January is when the tournament starts. And we know Adam Cole and Roddy are going to be representing the Undisputed Era in the tournament. So that should be fun to see. That was NXT for the week. AEW, before we close out with a couple, we got three more things we got to talk about. Of course, we had the Brody Lee tribute show on Dynamite. We had the Bucks and Cole Cabana. And now all the matches were made by -1 Brody Jr. And he all the matches had some form of Dark Order in the matchups. First match of the night, we had the Bucks and Cole Cabana taking on Matt Hardy and Private Party. That was a great tag team matchup, a 6-man tag action right there. Cole and the Bucks picking up the victory and great tag team action. Lance Archer, Stu Grayson, and Evil Uno taking on Eddie Kingston, Butcher, and Blade in 6-man tag action. Pretty much all the matches except for the women's were 6-man tags. Lance Archer, Grayson, and Evil Uno picking up the victory in another great tag team match. Hangman Page, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds taking on MJF, Santana, and Ortiz of the Inner Circle. Page, Silver, and Reynolds. Great matchup right there. Again, beating the Inner Circle. Women's matchup, we had Ty Conte and Anna Jay. They tag teamed up in the women's tag team tournament. Anna is part of the Dark Order, taking on Britt Baker and Penelope Ford. And of course, Anna Jay and Ty Conte beat Baker and Ford in women's tag team action. And then main event, this was a main event matchup handpicked by Brody Jr. as it was his favorites wrestlers with Cody, Orange Cassidy, and number 10 of the Dark Order, his favorite wrestlers, taking on Team Taz in Cage, Starks, and Hobbs. And we got to see Harper's former tag team, Brody's former tag team partner over in WWE, Eric Rowan, show up. It was a great matchup. Cody, Orange, and 10. Clean sweep for the Dark Order as they pick up the victory on this night of tribute to Brody Lee, the exalted one of the Dark Order. And of course, afterwards, the last image, the last moments of the show, we got to see 10, Brody Lee's wife, the Prez for AEW, and of course Cody with -1 Brody Jr. Bring out Brody's wrestling boots, placed him in the center of the ring, and they handed over the TNT title over to -1, claiming him as the TNT champion forever, and essentially retiring the TNT title. That version right there, that they have handed it over. They said it's yours. Your father was the greatest TNT champion. Due respect, Cody. That belt has been officially retired. They have full possession of it forever, and they are going to be creating a new TNT title for Darby because he is the current champion. And other, quick other little news bit that -1 Brody Jr. has been signed to AEW once he turns of age to start wrestling and getting into the business. He will be officially AEW under AEW's contract, as he has signed a contract to join AEW, and it won't take effect until he turns of age. So it was a great tribute show for these guys, what they did. And, of course, to see Brody Jr., aka -1, it was just a touching tribute to Brody Lee, aka Luke Harper. It was awesome. Feel good story, night, a way to end the year with that image. And unfortunately, we had to lose him to have that. It sucks. We do know that, because of the Brody Lee tribute show, they had to push the New Year's Smash night 1 to next week. So to kick off the new year for these guys, instead of night 2 of New Year's Smash, is going to be New Year's Smash night 1. We do know that it will be the AEW World Championship up for grabs, as Kenny Omega will defend against Rey Fenix. The women's title is on the line. Haruka Shida taking on Abaddon. The Bucks and SCU in 8-man tag will take on the Acclaimed and TH2. Cody Rhodes will take on Matt Sydal, and Jake Hager will take on Wardlow in night 1 of New Year's Smash. Of course, we're going to have Jericho on commentary, and we're going to have Big Snoop popping in for the Go Big show that TNT is doing. Night 2 has been pushed to January 13th, which also is the start of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. That night, we're going to see the TNT title up for grabs against, as Darby will defend against Brian Cage. Pac versus Eddie Kingston. Britt Baker taking on Thunder Rosa. Miro versus Chucky T. And in tag team action, we're going to get Jurassic Express taking on FTR. It is going to be a great night 2, January 13th for New Year's Smash. 2 straight weeks for these guys to kick off the new year. We know that at the Royal Rumble coming up in the month of January, the end of the month, we know 4 names that are going to be in the Rumble, 2 for the men, 2 for the women right now. We got Daniel Bryan and Bobby Lashley for the men, and we got Jax and Shayna Baszler for the women. They're going to be a part of the Royal Rumble matches coming up at Royal Rumble at the end of January. And then, of course, this is the final time we're going to be talking about it, because by the time we talk next week, Wrestle Kingdom would have come and gone. January's 4th and 5th, 2-night event for Wrestle Kingdom. Let's quickly head on over to Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Shaboom! Wrestle Kingdom 15, y'all. 2-night event. You can check it out on NewJapanWorld.com. Go and buy it. Or you could go to fight.com. Buy it there. You can buy both. Nights is going to be fun to watch. Night 1, we know we're going to have the New Japan Rambo, a 22-man New Japan Rambo, to determine who will challenge for the 2021 trophy, King of Pro Wrestling trophy on night 2. Obviously, it'll probably be a fatal 4-way, so the last 4 will move on to night 2 to challenge for the King of Pro Wrestling 2021 trophy. Provisional, of course. They have to defend it all year. And it's not official till the last event in December. Night 1 also will have a number 1 a singles match to determine who will challenge for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion on night 2, as we're going to have the winners of the Super J Cup and the best, or the the best of the Super J. Oh yeah, the Super J Cup winner and the best of the Super Juniors. They're going 1-on-1 in a number 1 contenders match, as it'll be Hiromu Tanahashi taking on El Phantasmo in 1-on-1 action. The IWGP Tag Team titles are up for grabs. Dangerous Techers taking on the winners of the World Tag League, Gorillas of Destiny. That should be a damn good matchup right there. The IWGP US Championship Challenge rights certificate is up for grabs, as it'll be Kenta, as he is the current championship, or the current title holder for the rights for the title, to face Jon Moxley against Satoshi Komajira. I cannot say it right. This is my thing. I butcher names. 1-on-1 match. We're going to get Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on Great Okan in 1-on-1 action. Okada will take on Will Ospreay in 1-on-1 action. And then main event of night 1 will be for the double championships, the IWGP Heavyweight title and the Intercontinental Championship, as Tenso Yanaito will take on the G1 tournament winner, Kota Ibushi. And that is night 1. Night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom, January 5th. We're going to have 2 exhibition matches from Stardom to kick off the pre-show. The New Japan Rumble on night 1 will be on the pre-show. For night 2, we'll have 2 women's matches from Stardom, as there'll be a first one will be Queen's Quest taking on Donna Del Mandero in 6-woman tag team matchup. In a 6-woman tag match. It'll be an exhibition match. And then another tag team match, it'll be 2 more females from the Stardom organization. As I cannot say their names is bad. We're going to have a fatal 4-way for the Provisional King of Pro Wrestling 2021 trophy. The winners of night 1's New Japan Rambo, essentially a Royal Rumble right there. Fatal 4-way match right there. Winner will be the Provisional King of Pro Wrestling 2021 trophy holder. New Japan Junior, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles are up for grabs, as Suzuki Gun will take on 1 or 8 in tag team action. The Neverweight Open Championship is up for grabs. Shingo Takagi taking on Jeff Cobb. A 1-on-1 matchup between former tag team partners of Evil and Sonata in 1-on-1 action. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight title is up for grabs, as the winner of night 1's number 1 contendership match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title will face the champion, Tajiri Ishimura Bonesaw of the Bullet Club. And then, of course, main event for night 2, the winner of night 1's double championship match will face off against the G1 certificate holder, Jay White, in the main event of night 2. That should be it, guys. That is your Wrestle Kingdom 15 lineup for you guys. That is going to be it for me, guys. I got nothing left for you guys for 2020. It is over. We're peacing out. We're killing this year. Just it literally is just going to be too sweet. But man, 2020, thank God it's over. We're going to be over. And we're heading into 2021 with better hopes. But that is going to be it for me for the year 2020, guys. Make sure you guys follow, like, subscribe, everything on the Flex Network. You can find us, of course, at the Flex Network on Facebook. On Twitter, you can find us at Flex Network 1 for your fantasy football and your football content. And then, of course, on the wrestling side of the universe, you can follow us at FlexNet_PW Elite for all your wrestling content on Twitter. And then, of course, search for us on YouTube, Flex Network for your football and fantasy football content, and Flex Network Wrestling for your wrestling content. Make sure you guys continue to follow us and like us and share us with all of your friends and family, people that you think will like us, this show. If you like the show, like and subscribe and everything. And of course, on podcasts, we're on that Spotify, we're on that Apple, we're on the major stuff. If we are not somewhere where you get your podcasts, let us know. We'll get there, and you continue to follow us and like us and take us on the road with you guys. But that is going to be it for me, guys. I am done with 2020. Let's get into 2021. And I hope everyone out there is safe. Let's just raise a little cheer. I got water with me right now. I'm going to have a little bit of the bubbly in a little bit, but I'm peacing out, guys. Goodbye, 2020. Hello, 2021. Be safe out there. Happy New Year to everybody out there. This has been the SnowMan, and I will see you guys next week in 2021. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
This has been the Pro Wrestling Week in Review show.
You got some fellow Canadians.
But when you're from Calgary,
Where's that?
Alberta, Canada,
A one-way first-class ticket to Larryland.
what is it with you folks coming to Florida? Stay in your own country.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody. Right here.
Why me? Why me? Why me?
don't blame Canada, blame yourself.
Feels like showtime every minute to me. I can't help it.
No. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Ta-ta for now.
we're out of time. Good night on Nitro.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Well, you're welcome, Jurassic Slap Ass.